Underwriting support for this program is provided by the Eureka Teachers Association's School Board Liaison, Philip Middlemiss. Thank you.
So report out from closed session.
Not on.
Sorry, the button's on.
Okay.
Okay, on item C1, it will be brought back on the consent agenda, and item C2, C3, and C4, there's no action to report.
Okay, well, and Wendy will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we'll move into the board recognition for the Apple Pen Awards. Who would like to lead? Susan.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you at all.
It's not real loud.
Oh, like what, here? Yeah, you go first. I know what you're doing.
Okay, so now we're going into the Apple Pen Awards.
Oh, that's it.
Coming out.
This person was nominated by Georgette Basillo. Paulette True is the director of Alice Burney's after-school program. But that title hardly tells the story about what she does every afternoon for over 100 students. She is a teacher, a nurse, a mother surrogate, a counselor, and a recreation director all in one. She appears to move effortlessly from serving a snack to helping a student with a math problem to listening to a parent who is dealing with adversity. Paulette directs and works with a cadre of young recreation leaders too, who need her counsel and support as they try to balance work and school. Through it all, Paulette is steady, organized, and dedicated. She is a living example of the high standards she has set for herself and for her work. She's happiest when everyone works together for the good of the whole. She loves to laugh and to have a good time, but she's not afraid to draw the line in the sand when necessary. Paulette True is a tireless worker and doesn't settle for anything but the very best for the students that she serves. Thank you, Paulette, and happy retirement. I've done this before for Paulette. I'll read her certificate, and this is what it says. Eureka City Schools Governing Board Apple Pen Award, Paulette True. Thank you for your personal commitment, dedication, and outstanding service to Eureka City Schools. And it's signed by John Fullerton, Board President, June 6, 2012. too fancy camera. Won't focus on you. I'll take it later.
Here, this way.
The next award, here we go. The next award is for Kay Crow. If you want to come up here.
Is it all right? Is it all right if I step up closer?
Yes. This is from Georgianne Fullstone-Pasillo and the Alice Burney staff. In her role as a literacy technician, Kay Crow's patience and positive support has made the difference for many young readers at Alice Burney. Her eyes twinkle as one of her kids learns how to put sounds together and begins to read one-syllable words for the first time. When this happens, Kay's smile is actually bigger than that of the student she is helping. Kay enjoys reading herself and knows the world that is open to those who are literate. She appreciates the magic of a well-written story and the value in a book you can read over and over. Kay is thoughtful, kind, and funny, and her sense of humor has saved many a situation from having a bad end. She has a heart that is as big as all outdoors, and no matter what the need, Kay finds a way to make things work. Enjoy your retirement, Mrs. Crow. We'll miss you.
Sorry.
I gave it. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get Lorraine Smith. Here we go. Okay, and next is Lorraine Smith. Lorraine, you were also nominated by Georgianne Fullstone-Pasillo and the Alice Burney staff. Lorraine Smith stands out not only for teaching some of the most challenging and challenged students in Eureka City Schools for years, but for promoting student voice across the student body at Alice Burney. As student council advisor, she is the wind beneath the wings of community projects like Coats for the Cold, Valentine's for Veterans, and canned food drives. She is also a major player in fun events like Pajama Day, the Talent Show, and Field Day. Lorraine enjoys involving students in their own world and works side by side with them to accomplish the goals they have set together. She believes in making a difference both in her classroom and in the community, and because of her leadership, dedication, and example, the students at Alice Burney know at a young age what it is to be a responsible citizen of the larger community. Thank you, Lorraine.
I'll try David's three-finger rule. 3 fingers. That's it. I have the pleasure of giving 2 Apple Pens today. And the first is to James Marks.
He is not here tonight. His child is ill.
Okay. I think I'll go ahead and read what was written about him. Eureka High School has collected over time a valuable collection of Native American art and artifacts with the intent of educating students in their use and meaning. In September 2010, Mr. James Marks proposed a method and process to digitally image and catalog the collection to current applicable museum standards. You use big words. The work would initially involve volunteer time and later include Eureka High students in service learning projects. The ultimate goals were to fully bring the items into use for research and ceremonial purposes, as well as to provide a means for students to learn about the culture and the people who created the items in the collection, while learning valuable skills in photography and museum archive processes. Over the past 2 years, the project has come together with the support of the Native American community and Eureka High teachers and administration. Currently, Mr. Marks is working with 2 students who have shown interest in the project as part of their service learning experience at Eureka High. They are learning how museum acquisitions are managed, beginning with how to handle original objects and then create and refine digital images with Photoshop. All objects will be imaged on-site in studio conditions using state-of-the-art photographic techniques and then put into storage for future display and/or ceremonial use. Selected items of the collection will be on display in the foyer of Eureka High School auditorium in display cabinets purchased by the Indian Education Grant Funds. In the remaining weeks of school, we anticipate that Mr. Marks and the students will catalog the remainder of the collection and will have photographed the entire collection. A collection such as this is a rare treasure. Being able to care for it appropriately, as well as share its beauty with others, is a worthy goal with many benefits. All told, over the past 2 years, Mr. Marks has devoted 250 hours of his own time on site working with the collection and with students and community members to develop its potential. We are grateful for the passion and dedication that Mr. Marks has given to this project, a gift to the students of Eureka. The second one that I have the pleasure of delivering is to Debbie Tilley. Please join me, Debbie. I ask that I have the opportunity to deliver this one to Debbie. Stand up here, Debbie, don't hide. And the fact that my last year as an employee of Eureka City Schools, I had the opportunity to work at Eureka High with Debbie when she was principal secretary there. And she kept a lot of us out of trouble and did a great job at that time as well. And this is from Paul Ziegler as the nominee. The reason for my nomination is Debbie is one of the most extraordinary individuals I have come in contact with during my brief tenure with Eureka City Schools. In addition to her normal work duties, she is always willing and available to help others and to take on additional assignments. That's why she's so tired. She epitomizes going above and beyond to provide assistance and is always thoughtful and professional in her dealings with others. Her customer service ethic and her can-do approach to her work are second to none. She provides an upbeat, energetic level of support to me and the district office, as well as everyone she comes in contact with, including fellow employees, students, parents, and members of the community. In addition, Debbie has often been called on to take on duties that fall outside the range of her job description. In particular, she has been instrumental in keeping records and providing information and expertise for the district's various facilities projects. She is often called on to share her vast story of institutional knowledge and does so willingly and cheerfully. In closing, I can't imagine being able to perform the scope of my responsibility without Debbie's support and assistance. I am fortunate and proud to work with her. She is a caring, giving person, an invaluable asset to Eureka City Schools, and as such, she deserves the strongest consideration for the Apple Pen Award.
And Debbie, I want you to know that he had to arm wrestle me to give it to you. And obviously he won.
Okay, Joyce McGibbon, come on down. Joyce was nominated by Georgianne Cusello. Joyce Joyce McGibbon looked around, saw a need on the Alice Burney campus this year, and did something about it. At our first staff meeting, she volunteered for the safety committee, became its co-chairperson, and has not looked back. With help from Art Hand and a small group of others, Joyce organized a comprehensive year-long drill schedule, provided training and staff meetings, and made sure that all hands on deck knew what was happening and when. She completely redid the emergency packs for each classroom, the after-school program, and the other main areas on campus. To do this, she sought donations from the community partners and service organizations and gave tirelessly of her own time. She connected staff and students with community efforts such as the Great California Shakeout and the Tsunami Drill. Joyce was also instrumental in requesting and participating in an official Red Cross first aid training across the district. In a sentence, Joyce has become the face of safety at Alice Burney, and because of her efforts, we are both more prepared for and more knowledgeable about responding to an emergency should one occur. Thank you, Joyce.
There you go. Able to present an Apple Pen Award to Katrina Scheffler. Jump, Katrina, jump.
Musical chairs.
Hi, Katrina.
Hi, Wendy.
Katrina was nominated by Jan Schmidt, and I'm pleased to share this with you, and I'm going to paraphrase because Jan writes an awful lot about you. And she says, dedicated...
Jan's not happy with you.
Do you want me to read it all? I'll read it all. Okay.
I didn't even hear they got their shit.
All right. On we go. Dedicated, tenacious, valuable, student-centered, team player, supportive, generous, smart, fun-loving, hard worker, thick-skinned, solution-oriented, respected by staff, students, and parents. These are just some of the words that come to my mind when I think of Katrina Scheffler. Katrina serves as both the ACES coordinator at Lafayette School and also the guidance tech. She excels in both of these roles. Her first encounter with Katrina occurred when she was the principal of Alice Burney, and she was the after-school coordinator at Lincoln School. She donated a large number of beautiful fleece items, including hats, blankets, and scarves, to our PTO to sell on site to bring extra dollars to our school. It turned out that these handmade items were made by her. This was a very generous donation and much appreciated by our staff and students. The items flew off our shelves with every dollar going into our PTO account that in turn provided directly to our students. Over the ensuing years, I had the opportunity to see Katrina occasionally at ACES meetings and heard about all the wonderful things she was doing for her students in the after-school program. I listened but never truly understood the magnitude of Katrina's contribution until I arrived at Lafayette School. When I first arrived at Lafayette in August of 2010, I met Katrina in August as part of getting the school up and running. I realized right away that she is really passionate about her after-school program and committed to making a difference for the students she serves. She shared with me that she loves math and provides a math support class for our 6th graders that doubles as a homework support class. But really, it's a full-on math intervention class. Katrina takes home the math units ahead of time and plans her lessons with the goal of delivering the information in an exciting and engaging way. She works closely with the 6th grade teachers to provide a seamless learning experience for our students. After the first few weeks of school, I knew I needed help and flew a position for a guidance tech. A number of qualified applicants interviewed for the job, but I knew that the best applicant was Katrina. Her knowledge of the staff and of the school, her ability to relate really well to our students, as well as her mediation and organizational skills, made her a natural choice for the position. Hiring Katrina as a guidance tech was one of the smartest things I did while serving as the principal of Lafayette. She has great understanding of child development and always seems to know just the right thing to say to soothe an upset child or mediate a conflict between students. Your feet hurt yet? After 6 o'clock at night and on the weekends, you will often find Katrina at school. She's either creating wonderful activities for her ACES students or she's cleaning out Graceland, which is an outbuilding. Although ACES houses some of their materials in that outbuilding, PTA and our school store supplies in that building, and it can get quite cluttered and out of control. The entire school community benefits from Katrina's hard work and great organizational skills. Katrina also serves as a site liaison for service learning projects and coordinates a variety of service learning opportunities for our students. This year, she organized the Pennies for Patients fundraiser and the Construction event, which is a Food for People fundraiser. She was also instrumental in the successful participation of our students in the Roadie Parade. She picked up all the tricycles and the easy gliders from school and brought them to the parade so our students could ride them in the parade. She also made Lafayette pennants that were proudly displayed on these non-motorized vehicles. Katrina recently had her ACES students participate in cardboard car races. The students designed and assembled their cardboard cars and then excitedly brought them to the start line. Katrina and her students contributed to the beautification of our campus by purchasing and planting azaleas and other flowering plants in our reading circle. Her students also helped with weeding and watering to help all of our new plants get established last year. Katrina has used a positive incentive program in her ACES program long before PBIS. Leaders have been trained to catch students doing the right thing and award stars during homework and club time. Students then cash in these stars for prizes and even cash. This is a very popular event. As a guidance tech, Katrina provides supports to all of our students, but some need her more than others. She is often found talking one-on-one with a student and sometimes at very pretty unusual locations, including on the floor or in a classroom, at the top of a slide, or in the middle of the field. She goes wherever the students need her. Katrina's organizational skills have helped with a variety of one-time and ongoing events. She created an amazing spreadsheet to keep track of our student study team referrals. When a teacher fills out a referral, it immediately goes to Katrina to be logged in. She then follows the form through the signature process and finally does a challenging job of scheduling the meeting. Every step along the way is tracked, allowing staff to feel a sense of assurance that their students' needs are being met in a timely fashion. For the past 2 years, Katrina has volunteered to serve as co-advisors for the school yearbook. She spends countless hours taking pictures and producing a high-quality product that received rave reviews from students and staff last year. I look forward to getting a copy of this year's book. Earlier this year, Katrina was selected to serve as the facilitator of the Lafayette School PBIS team. This is a huge responsibility and one which she takes very seriously. She does a great job keeping us moving forward. As I have stated, Katrina is a wonderful ACES coordinator and guidance tech, and my only hope is that she will someday get her teaching credential because she already is an awesome teacher unofficially. It is for all these reasons and more that I nominate Katrina Scheffler for an Apple Pin Award.
You are long-winded, but thank you. Sorry. I'll say I like watching that and see what happens. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm opening the public hearing for proposed transfer of certain categorical funds to the unrestricted general fund. In accordance with SBX 3.4 and XABX 4.2, the Governing Board of Eureka City School District will hold a public hearing to seek input and take testimony from the public in regard to the proposed transfer of Tier 3 categorical funds. Funds transferred to the unrestricted general fund offset revenue limit reductions and will be used to maintain existing programs supporting student achievement. So I ask for comments or? Yes. Okay. Is there any public input or comments on this public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any adjustment to the agenda?
There is none. Uh-oh, there is none.
Information, student reports. I have green slips for senior projects, but
That would be under student reports.
okay. Well then, Catherine McGibbon.
Uh-oh, did I just turn off? No. Okay, well, first I just wanted to say thank you for letting me come and talk all these times. And to just give you one last report on student government. We had our senior picnic on June 1st, and it went very well. There were absolutely no problems. We had good weather, and we bought shirts for all of our senior class and tie-dyed them, and it was a big hit. And we had good prizes. We had a TV, an iHome, cameras, and everyone loved them. And then our senior prom was on June 2nd on Saturday, and we made almost $7,000 on it, but we haven't subtracted everything yet, but we still made a big profit. And we had 300 people go, and it also went very well. And it was at the Fortuna River Lodge. And then we also had Spring Fever Week, and the seniors crushed the juniors. It was 28-6 for Powder Puff. And then we had a barbecue for the whole school that day, too, and everyone loved it. And then Changing of the Guard is happening next week, where we welcome next year's student government members in, and we present them with a binder for the next year. Thank you.
Jamie S. Planada.
So I would like to call my group members Sadia and Mazar and Leah Vang upstage. Okay, so my name is Jamie Esplanada, and I'm a senior in Eureka High School.
I'm Leah Vang, and I'm a senior at Eureka High School.
And I'm Sadia Mazar, and I'm also a senior at Eureka High School.
So we just want to inform you guys that we had our senior project February 10, 2012, and our senior project name was called Avid Night, and it is pretty much about like informing the parents of what the AVID program is. And AVID stands for Advanced via Individual Determination, and pretty much the program is about having the students getting ready to be in a college class. So pretty much we do tutorials every day, and then there's like some students from CR that help us do like problems that we have with our classes, and the class also help us be organized and be ready for a college class.
Especially like taking notes, prepping for college, taking notes, Cornell notes, having one side be like questions you have for like the teacher that you need to in order for you to understand, and then the other side is like notes you take during class that can help you for studying.
AVID is a program that's like really helpful, but a lot of people don't know about it, and that's like one of the reasons why we did the AVID night, to gather parents and upcoming students and then let them know how AVID can like help them benefit in their upcoming years in their high school, and how we can benefit them also in college.
And so that's pretty much what our project was about, just to promote and let everyone know what AVID is. And yeah, thank you.
Bio, Mai, Nancy, and Emily.
My name is Mai, and I'm a senior at Eureka High School.
And I'm Balvin, and I also a senior at Eureka High School too.
I'm Emily Tao, and I'm a senior at Eureka High.
I'm Nancy Lee, and I'm also a senior at Eureka High. Our senior project is about photo voice, and it's a storytelling technique. Participants in the community and take pictures of a situation, a topic, or an issue in their lives and tell a story through those pictures. This is used to promote a positive change.
And the reason why we chose this project is because we want to help the Henderson community's garden to preserve the garden by letting people know about this place. And this place is very important to the gardens because some of the food that they grow in the garden cannot be found at the store, so it's very important to the community's garden.
And we presented our senior project at Arts Alive on April 7th. Since not much of the community knows about this garden, so we decided to go out in public.
Since this is our first project, we'll say that it's not that hard, but it just takes a lot of time to get it done. And it was a great experience with Helen, our advisor. We want to tell her that she's a really hard worker and she's been guiding us through our whole project. So, yeah, thank you.
Baba Lee.
Good evening. My name is Bob Lee.
My name is Mercy Lee. And I'm Jenny Fang. And our senior project for this year was the Avid Class of 2012 honoring ceremony. And the speakers of our Avid honoring ceremony is for the senior and the Avid Class of honor someone who has helped them through past senior and want to appreciate the help they got.
And to achieve this event, we're going to need money, right? So we've done a couple of fundraisers like Christmas Jam, Valentine's Jam, to raise money. And our event took place on June 1st from 5 to 8, which was Friday. And during that event, we had entertainment, we had speakers, inspirational speakers. We got our, just to give a little speech to our student class of motivating us to go to college, and that event was a huge success, which,
And you will be wondering like what we gave to our honorees at the event, and so each of our Avid Class seniors made their own little turtle out of clay, and because our theme for this year is our incredible journey to college, which we are each our own little individual turtle. And so after we were done giving our speech to each of our honorees, we gave them our little turtle, which was customized in our own little way that represented them. So, that's our senior project. Thank you.
Superintendent's reports.
Okay, I'd like to, boy, it's either no sound or too much sound. Anyway, wanted to let the board know that we had our last Superintendent Advisory Committee meeting was held on May 25th. What I want to report is that certainly has been an enjoyable endeavor where we meet on a regular basis with parent representatives and administrative staff and talk about topics pertinent to the district. I kind of hated to end the last meeting with a recap of the May revise, but that has been something they've been very interested in is the finances across the state in terms of education. But we did end with recapping the activities that occurred on the site, so it was very fun to end it that way. Also, I had an opportunity to attend the academic fair held at Eureka High School, and it was a fabulous event, and they certainly were doing very many things, and the students were very engaged and seemed to have a great time. I want to end my report for tonight with a comment regarding REEF, which is the Redwood Environmental Education Fair. I was approached in the fall by Ethan Heifetz, who is here tonight, and he let me know that we were not going to be able to have REEF at CR this year because of modernization, I think, or some kind of construction, and he thought it would be a wonderful idea if Eureka City Schools was able to host this event, which is a tremendous event in terms of the number of students that come and participate over the course of 2 days. And so we looked around and selected Winship, and from there, he and Sherry Jensen and Sandy Phillips made it happen. And today we received a letter from Melody McGuire, who is the REEF coordinator, and in it she wanted it to be acknowledged that they're extremely grateful to Eureka City Schools for hosting the fair, and wanted to also thank Ethan and Sherry and Sandy, along with the Winship staff, parents, teachers, and presenters. Everybody was very professional and helpful. In particular, many commented that it was wonderful having the Zoe Barnum students as guides. She ended with, Ethan and she appreciated all the hard work and effort that was entailed in hosting this large event, and thanked Eureka City Schools and appreciated the opportunity to team up with us for hosting this positive learning event for our local students. So I wanted to share that with the board and also express my thanks for our staff that made it possible for our kids, starting with Ethan. That was great to have him pose the concept, and he made it happen. So that's my superintendent's report.
And board member reports.
I'd like to comment on the reef experience because my granddaughter from freshwater school went to it, and the only downside is now there's pressure personally to reopen Winship. As a fifth grader, she really enjoyed the entire outing, and the experience was grand. I'd also like to congratulate Mike LeBoul and David DeMant and their music program. I had the opportunity today to sit through both the band and the strings performance at Alice Burney. I couldn't believe that half the kids in the sixth grade are in music, instrumentally. 100%. Is it 100%? Is all the sixth graders? The quality's way up here. Quality of sound that the kids put out was incredibly good, and I just want to congratulate you and thank you for your efforts.
Hey, Fran. It's working again. Fran.
First, I'd just like to apologize to Ethan for not getting to Reef. I promised that I would get there, and then we had a facilities workshop that went quite a few hours longer than it was supposed, but we thought it was going to go. So it was afternoon before it finished. But my granddaughter did help. She was one of the helpers with Mr. Pinkerton, and she thought it was an absolutely wonderful experience. I would also like to, this is something that's coming up on Friday, is the awards, honor awards night at Eureka High School. And it starts at 5 o'clock. It has to because it goes on gets quite lengthy. Oh, you're going to be 2 hours. Okay, I'm holding you to that because I want to watch the ball game. Anyway, it is a wonderful, wonderful program every year, and it is the time when the scholarships are given out to the students, and it's amazing the number of scholarships, the amount of money that's given to these students, and the grades that these students have. So if any of you had not planned to come, you might want to come at 5 o'clock, and it's going to be in the auditorium this year. So I hope to see many of you there.
Susan?
Well, I attended I don't know if it's working or not. Oh, there we go. A couple of fun events in the last few weeks. The Powder Puff football game, which was quite eventful and really fun to watch my son be a cheerleader. And I also attended the retirement for Jim Smith, which was really nice, and I thought it was really neat to see so many of his students and former students there honoring him for what he had done for them as students as in the agricultural department. And I think that's about it.
I had a chance to visit many of our school sites. I have been to Winslow, Lafayette, Zane, Eureka High, Alice Burney, Washington over the last couple of weeks. And I was also a chaperone at the senior prom last Saturday. It was an interesting experience. How apropos. It was very well done, and the kids had a really good time, and they were pretty much well behaved. And I just want to point out that I was in charge of the shoes, and there were a lot of them being taken off and left because the heels were this tall, but they were all lovely. They were great shoes, and I took good care of them. But it was a good event, and I'm glad I went.
Okay. So before we go into public comment on non-agenda items, I'm going to read a statement from the board. As the board president, I am giving this statement on behalf of the Board of Trustees. Due to the Brown Act, our ability to interact with public comment is limited on this issue of the transfers of staff. But we felt it necessary to communicate with everyone. We understand that many of you are here tonight to address the trustees in regard to the reassignment of principals for the 2012-2013 school year. The administrative assignments were made keeping the best interest of all our students in mind. The specific needs of the students at the individual schools are well matched with the particular strengths of the administrators assigned to each school. We want to acknowledge that we have listened to all the opinions expressed by community, parents, and staff, and your opinions are important to us. In listening to these opinions, we also understand that many are in support of the assignments. We are happy that we have principals who can move their schools forward, and are happy that so many of you are here to talk about how great your principals are. This is affirmation that we have great leaders for our schools, teachers, and students. So now we're moving to the public comment on non-agenda items. This is the time designated on the agenda when members of the public may bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda. Legally, no action or significant discussion can take place about a matter not listed on the agenda. Therefore, board members and district staff members usually will not respond to public comments. The reason for this is the Brown Act. No significant discussion can take place on an issue that has not been properly noticed to the public. As printed on the agenda, individual speakers will have 3 minutes to address the board. Each topic is limited to 20 minutes total. And we have a lighting system there on the podium. We're going to ask you to come to the podium and give your name. Green means to go ahead, yellow means you have 1 minute left, and red light means please stop and let the next speaker speak. The first speaker is Haley Katz.
Okay. Hi, my name is Haley Katz, and I'm a senior at Eureka High School. Probably should have come in earlier, but I just got off work. I wanted to come here and talk about the pathway I completed last year, which was the Eureka High Theater pathway. And what that pathway required me to do was complete every theater class from 1A to 4A and participate in either 1 or 2 shows, which I did 2. And come here and talk to you people, which is fun. So I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to describe what I did, but I performed in 1 show sophomore year and 1 show last year, which was my junior year. And during my high school career, I also served on the drama club council, whatever, as treasurer sophomore year and a secretary junior year. And freshman year, I also served as a treasurer, I think. And I had a lot of fun in the pathway, and I strongly recommend it to anyone looking for a fun thing to do during high school that can teach you a lot of good outside of school lessons, too. And that's all I had to say.
David DeMint.
Right. Too many chairs.
Hello, my name's David DeMant. I'm a music teacher, and I don't need no stinking microphone. That's a movie quote, in case you want. Okay. First, I would like to make sure that you've all been invited. we have been doing a lot of concerts, the music people, the drama people, and all stuff. And the elementary people are ending tomorrow night at Zane, 6 o'clock for the strings, 7 o'clock for the band, extravaganza, hundreds of kids there sawing away and having fun. So just want to make sure you all knew about that. And also I want to say in public that recently I've been talking to some of you about being heard at this meeting and how important it is and how frustrating it is when we can't hear you. I appreciate the conversations. I think the awareness is we're going in the right direction. It looks like we're all aware of how funky these things are and how right now, it's going great guns out there if you can't hear it, but it's not really happening in here. And usually there's a switch, like the A-B switch, you go from A to B or A and B. So, we have Leif over there who's a great guy who could help us out here. So I appreciate your work on that, but that's not why I'm here tonight. What I'm really here tonight about is being heard, but not... Tonight I'm here to talk about another kind of being heard. It assumes that you can understand us, but wants to know if you're listening to us, the teachers and the parents. I'm also here tonight to acknowledge the parents. Because there's a bond between parents and teachers, and the same bond that goes from the board to the teachers and to the students. And there's many times that teachers, we've called upon parents to come and help and to speak for us. And I want you to know, teachers, parents, that the teachers hear you. We've been writing letters, too. And so we support you in your basic demand to be heard and understood and listened to. So we want you to know the teachers are here for it. And I want to know from a perspective of someone who's been here 21 years, this is the biggest deal ever. This is it. Oh, my God. Okay, the yellow light's on. Okay, never has there been such a ground roots thing coming up from people and teachers. It's always been coming down. This is really big. And which leads me to this profound, amazing statement. I have to read it. It's the preamble to the Brown Act, which you've mentioned twice today. And it reads as follows. Public commissions, boards, councils, and other legislative bodies of local government agencies exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. The people do not yield their sovereignty to the bodies that serve them. The people insist on remaining informed to retain control over the legislative bodies they have created. I think it's really important that we know that there's this sense that we, obviously you've heard, that's not happening. So I'm asking the board to make the people's concern their concern. Please reconsider your position of support for administration's decision concerning principal placement, and remember that you were put in place to do the parents' work. Thank you.
Bo Hopkins. Bo Hopkins.
Okay. I'm Bo Hopkins. I've been up here before. And I just have to say, I am disappointed in this school board. You have chosen to ignore parents, teachers, and children to further your own agenda. We have sounded in one unanimous voice our opposition to the principal rotation. And each one of you has told us that we don't matter. It is clear you have no intention to do the right thing and leave the principals to continue the good work that they have started this last year. I think it speaks volumes to your character that you would put your own agendas above the needs of the children, the parents, the teachers, and the communities that you are charged to serve within this board. I think even your parents would be ashamed of you for what you're doing to the community. I know my speaking here tonight means as much to you as the signatures of over 500 parents that signed our petition. But I do want you to know that our opposition to this action will continue. And when board election time comes around, again, our efforts will be focused on unseating each one of you. Thank you.
Carol Rose.
Sorry?
Carol Rose.
And that would be me. I had two speeches written for tonight. One to tell you what your jobs were, because obviously you don't know what a liaison is. However, after fighting with myself, talking to my husband and my son, I have opted to save that speech for next board meeting, and trust me, I will be back. I will continue to be back. This time, though, I'm going to read a letter that the board had access to. It was written by the teachers from Lafayette. Dear board members, we are writing this to let you know of concerns that we have as regards to the manner in which Lori Alexander has conducted her job since her tenure began with Eureka City Schools. Although no longer a principal at Lafayette, we have heard of behaviors she is engaging in at other sites, which are very reminiscent of her conduct at our site.
Sorry.
Yes?
Appropriate comment.
Well, I'm sorry, but...
Sorry. Leanne.
I just read this in the Brown Act, and it did say that the board could not stop people from saying very specific things. I mean, you can look that up. I just read that last night.
Look up personnel items.
What's that now?
Look up personnel items.
Personnel items.
Well, that's what they're talking about. I think
They can't.
This is a personal attack upon an employee of the district.
Attack upon an employee.
And I believe it's a lot out of line for a public session.
You think? This letter was written to the board, and you guys obviously didn't read it.
We did read it.
We did read it.
You read it, and you continue to put a
principal back in her old position when the public, the people, the community, and the staff.
Want to continue with your statement? Please leave names out of your statement.
I will be happy to leave the name out then, but I would like to know specifically why you would put a principal back. Okay? You don't want me to read the letter? That's fine.
I'm sure it can be made public in other ways, and it will be. Now, as a liaison, I'll go back to my original, although now my time is gone. A liaison needs to communicate between different units or groups, a close relationship, link, or connection. Now, I ask, how many of you have actually been to the school you are the liaison for? Have you even put your foot on the ground, talked to the principal or the teachers for the school you are the liaison for? Are you interested in the school at all? And then I wonder how you can be on the school board if you don't care about Eureka City Schools, the children, the community, your teachers, your staff. How can you be on the board? And trust me, we'll work to get you off.
Good evening. My name is Sean Hughes. My daughter attends Alice Burney Elementary. And I'm pretty sure I'm kicking a dead horse by even being up here. But I am one guy, I'm one parent, and honestly, there's a lot of concerns that other parents have. So I've written a statement, and I'll try to get through it. It's been a while since I've been in front of this many people. I'm here tonight to express my concerns with the principal changes going on. I understand that when principals accept the position with the understanding that they could be moved around like chess pieces to suit the needs of the Eureka City school system. So I ask you, what will it take? There's been petitions signed, letters written, even the local news, who's here tonight, has been notified, all because of concerns of the parents in the community. I knew this was going to happen. But if we were heard, and you guys are listening, then why are we up here? Why are we all here? In a news broadcast, there was a board member who even stated that there is nothing that they are aware of in writing guaranteeing anything. So an idea that I know has been kicked around, and I know you guys have all heard and all talked about, why not put this one person into the junior high? There's obviously a position coming open. I understand that she doesn't want it, but it's a possibility. Aside from the fact, the concerns of the parents, the staff, the faculty, and the principals who don't even want to do this really, what about the students? The students don't want their principals gone. The students want their principals to stay. They're happy with the way that things are. It's consistency. There's a couple other things that we need to figure out, we need to think about as well. First of all, oh wow, I did mess that up. Secondly, one student comes to mind who attends Alice Burney. He is visually handicapped. And because of Miss P and all the things that she has gone through, he's still here. He knows her voice. He understands who she is. We as adults and school staff are supposed to teach the kids right from wrong. To me, this seems like a classic case of somebody being a bully and getting what they want. So I ask you again, what will it take? Will it take more signatures, more letters, more parents, more news, more what? Thank you.
Ashley Taylor.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley Taylor. I have two sons who, one of them currently attends Grant Elementary School and one is coming in the fall. And I'm very, very concerned about this change. I am concerned for the families whose voices are not being heard. I am concerned because you are not meeting the needs of these kids or the families. I have a son who has a medical condition. He has osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bones disease. Now, we started the school year with Miss Alexander, and we had an individualized education plan in place for him. Now, that was sort of disruptive because we had to change principals, and we spent a good portion of the last year trying to really establish what his needs were at school. My concern is that now we have to go through that again. We just got a consistency in place, and now we have to change. And I'm not the only family member who has to deal with this. There are hundreds of families who have individualized education plans for their children, and now those are going to be disrupted. And I understand that's going to happen regardless, but this is a massive amount of families that you're impacting with this choice, a large amount of families. And if you can minimize that, I don't understand why you wouldn't. And it is obvious just hearing members of the community telling you that they don't want this. Why would you make a decision that nobody wants? Or if there are people who want it, it's very few, and they aren't up here saying they want it. The people who are up here are saying they do not. And I'm worried. I'm worried for my sons who are going through school, and they need consistency. And that is why I came here tonight, is to plead with you to listen to the families and listen to what their needs are. Thank you for listening.
Quite read the next name, but I think it's Rosalina Luna.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rosalina Luna, and I'm a parent at Alice Burney. As you know, I am here with determination to keep Mrs. P as a principal of Alice Burney. I have told numerous parents have told me if Mrs. P leaves Alice Burney, they're going to move the children out of Eureka City Schools. I have presented to you the board hundreds of signatures from parents and community members who are strongly oppose moving Mrs. P away from Alice Burney. Parents have called you, teachers have called you, and you are ignoring our petitions and our wishes. KIM News and Time Standard cover our protest, and still you ignore us and do nothing. A board member returned my phone call on Saturday when I suggest that parents and teachers should be a part of this decision-making process for moving principals. She told me they didn't have to. She said, you all don't have to consider our wishes. We parents are determined to be heard. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Jill Kimura.
Oh, this is Kelsey.
I'm afraid listening to those parents, I bent my glasses. And that's very emotional, and I want all those parents out there to remember that they are their parents, are their child's first and best teachers. And that's what early childhood education is all about. Good luck to all of you. Hi, everyone. My name is Jill Kimura, and I'm currently the supervisor of the Eureka City Schools CalSafe Teen Parent Program and the Eureka City Schools Infant Toddler Center. I know we're so close to the end of the school year, so I just want to remind you all that we are a quality educational case management program that includes a first-rate licensed infant toddler center. I have to leave out the next part because I'll start crying. So I just want to tell you we also serve several community and teacher babies and their families. I'm going to take a breath even if I don't go over time, even if I do go over time. Whether we're serving 17 student parents and their children and extended families, as we did this year, or 30 student parents and their families per year, we also provide outreach to other students, including our students' parents, friends, siblings, and sometimes even siblings' friends. We would like you to still consider contacting us personally, board members. Personally ask us questions about our services, our success stories, our fiscal stability ideas, or any other questions or comments that you may have. We completely understand that cuts are inevitable, but to cut a program like ours in its entirety that really costs so little to run, which has provided quality services to some of your most vulnerable students and their families for almost 22 years, seems completely not only ridiculous, but in my opinion, completely unethical. Remember, everyone, if by luck or if by the grace of God, any of you or your family members could have needed our services. Also remember the facts, please, that back up the CalSafe programs across our state. 75% of teen parents enrolled in CalSafe graduate from high school, compared to the national teen parent grad rate of 33%. Students enrolled in CalSafe programs are less likely to have a second child than other teen parents. 65% of CalSafe participants further their education after high school. And I'm happy to say all our numbers, which we've given you in the past, are much higher than those statistics. Furthermore, the latest data shows that for every dollar invested in prevention programs like ours, there is a future return of $16. Thanks again for listening, and hopefully we'll hear from some of you very soon. I would like to give Leanne for the board a copy of our program self-evaluation for the end of the year. Thank you.
Patrick Riggs.
To Mickey.
Hi, I'm Patrick Riggs. For you parents who don't know me, I'm president of the Eureka Teachers Association, and I'm here to speak tonight because we're with you. I'd like to talk to you, members of the board, about decision making and the process that has taken place to enact the shuffling of the elementary principals. I'm asking you to reconsider and to reverse that decision or set of decisions. The current image that Eureka City Schools has in the community is not good, and I'm sure that you're aware of this. We have 400 students currently who are transferred out of our district to other public schools. There are others who go to private schools and charter schools. The impact financially to all of us in this district is well over $2 million per year in lost revenue. Now, obviously, it's not just because of the image of Eureka City Schools that students leave, but that is certainly a very significant factor. You have made a good decision, I believe, and the community believes, in bringing in a superintendent from outside the area to give us an opportunity at a fresh start. I would like to suggest to you that you can take the lead in creating that fresh start by being responsive to the expressions of concern and of the members of the community that you're elected to serve, to represent. Leadership, it seems to me, is to take an idea and vet it to the community that you serve, to see whether that is something that works with that community. And if it does not, then you modify it, you change it, you adapt it. That's not the process that happened here. This came down as a top-down decision, and that has been a concern and a problem with Eureka City Schools for a long time. You have an opportunity to reverse that pattern, to start on this new path, creating a more positive image for our city school system in this community. And while you're at it and reconsidering, I would suggest that you reconsider the decision from last November that took $200,000 from the general fund, and though it was for a good cause, refurbishing the Eureka High School auditorium, that you repay that to the general fund from monies from the funds that you have nearly $2 million in that we're going to use to help fund the Alice Burney modernization, and pay the general fund back and fund that CalSafe program that saves so many people. So thank you for your time.
Are there any other public comments?
Yes, sir, if I may.
Sure.
And I am back. I couldn't say that last time because I wasn't. It was my first time. Thank you very much. En primer lugar, quiero dar las gracias a las familias hispanas que están aquí esta noche. Yo creo que es hora que nuestra presencia sea vista en el nivel del distrito y al nivel de los sitios escolares. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. I just thank the Latino families who are here tonight, and what I said was it's high time that we make ourselves visible at the district level and at the site level. Last time I was here, I addressed you in Spanish and did not translate everything that I said on purpose because I wanted to make sure that we hear what really what happens when we don't understand what is being said. A large majority, or a large number, perhaps not a majority, of the Latino families are not English speakers. They do not receive communication from the schools. They receive communication in English, and when we can, we do send communication in Spanish. I think that we need to make sure that we have available a translator for people who at this event, for people who are not English speakers, so that we feel welcome at these events. Les estaba dando las gracias a la mesa directiva por haberme escuchado la última vez que estuve aquí, que les hablé generalmente o principalmente en español, y no les traduje todo lo que les dije. Porque quiero que veamos la importancia de hacer a la comunidad que no es de habla inglesa, de habla anglosajona, sentirse bienvenidos a estas reuniones. Porque somos parte de la clientela del distrito escolar. We are part of the clientele of the school district. We are stakeholders. So I wanted to, again, welcome the Latino parents who are here, los padres latinos que están aquí. Les quiero dar la bienvenida. Y les quiero dar la bienvenida, if I may do that, I want to welcome the parents on behalf of the district. Les quiero dar la bienvenida en nombre del distrito escolar. I want to, last night we had a brief meeting at my classroom with an ELAC meeting, really, and we talked about the demographics of Eureka, and talked about, I had a thought that many of the parents of students at Eureka High School are graduates of Eureka High School. So they are familiar with what Eureka High School specifically has to offer. Muchos de los padres de estudiantes de la escuela preparatoria Eureka High son graduados de esta escuela y por lo tanto saben lo que la escuela tiene que ofrecer. Pero los padres de la comunidad Hmong, los padres de la comunidad hispana, muchos no son graduados de esta escuela, entonces no sabemos qué tiene que ofrecer la escuela. Many of the parents who are the Hispanic parents, the Hmong parents, don't have any idea what the school have to offer or has to offer. So I would want to encourage the district and I would love to work on this project, to encourage the community of Spanish and Hmong speakers to come to visit the school to see what a wonderful facility we have. Me gustaría invitar y yo quiero ofrecerme como voluntario para conducir tours de la escuela, para que la comunidad Hmong y la comunidad hispana sepan lo que la escuela tiene que ofrecer. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much.
John, can I say something really quick that has to do with what Raphael just said? My daughter, I don't care if I can say it or not, I'm going to say it. My daughter graduated 4 years ago from Eureka High, and she graduated 3 years ago with honors from Trinity University, and she had Raphael. He's an amazing teacher. But that's not the story. The story is she has been on speakerphone, and Lori can attest to this, probably 11 times in the last year and a half with our families in our teen parent program on speakerphone translating for free, long distance from San Antonio between classes, so that we could help our students. And I want to say thank you to her.
So we're moving on to the consent calendar. Are there any items to poll for questions or comments? Or?
I'd like to just pull.
I'd like to wait until the audience is left so everyone can hear.
Page 41.
Thank you. Thank you.
David, and I thank you for bringing that to our attention. It's a matter of respect, and thanks for bringing it up.
We do need to move them out.
Everybody's got a job.
Don't they know that Janet asked people to sing? I'm so sick of that.
She should be saying something too.
Gentlemen, we need to take the party down just a little bit. Take the party down.
We need a sergeant. Got it. All the way maybe down to that wall section.
People, we need to go this
Just, we need to hire him as sergeant at arms.
Thank you for your efforts, David.
Okay, so Fran, you wanted to pull something?
Yeah, I would just like to pull on page 41 for clarification. The green sheet.
Which item?
Well, it's on page 41. It's L23. Oh, I do it by page number 2. L23.
Just a quick clarification.
Yes, very quick. I noticed down here under history, it says EHS players typically take this trip every spring, but the music teacher would like to add a fall trip to the year to inspire student spots, so forth and so on. Is the music part of this too?
No, that's a typo.
Okay.
It's the
It
theater
should be
arts
the drama
teacher. Yes. Sorry. Thanks for the
I just
catch.
wanted that clarification because I thought maybe both of them were going.
Well, if you would like to invite him.
I won't pay for them.
Any other items or do I hear a motion?
I move that we adopt the consent calendar.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Consent calendar is passed. Item M25 under discussion action, student expulsion. And this was
Move for approval of M25, student
Second.
expulsion.
been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Motion carries. M26, 2012-2013 school calendar.
This is the one that originally came to us,
Yes.
and actually, Easter is on March 31st, so this means that spring break will be 2 weeks after Easter, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Move for approval of M26.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Or not at all.
Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Motion carries. M27, award a bid, Eureka High School tennis court renovation.
Can I ask a question about this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I notice it's only one bid, but this is not actually redoing the whole, it's just kind of covering over.
I'm going to ask Charlie. I think if he doesn't mind stepping up, he was explaining
didn't
it
see
to
him back
me,
there.
but he would be much more articulate than I about what it is they're
If I'd
going to
have
be
seen him
doing.
back there, I'd had him hop up.
I think he was hiding.
I think he was too, behind.
Big to hide.
No, I could not see you, to be truthful.
So
The
what we
grip was
have
in the way.
going over at the tennis court is an overlay. What we've contracted out, which that bid includes, is they come in and power broom the entire surface. Any cracks that are larger than 1/4 inch, they will fill with a Duraflex caulking. Then they will go ahead and lay a liquid asphalt and then a nylon mesh over that. That'll help span the cracks that are existing over there. Then after that's applied, they will go ahead and lay a 2-inch layer of asphalt over the existing surface. And that needs to settle for a month, but that's all this bid includes. Then we have another company that's coming in, and they will come in and put the acrylic finishes on top, which is the sanded playing surface.
Okay, so approximately how long will this kind of treatment?
How long the repair will last?
Yeah.
It will be an ongoing maintenance item, and we'll have to, again, the last time this was done was in 1993 was when it was resurfaced.
That's a while ago.
Now, we let it go too long, the cracks expanded to where we cannot just go ahead and apply a new acrylic surface over the top and repair the smaller cracks. If we had done this maybe 10 years ago, but with our weather up here and moisture, you know, again, we'll start evaluating at 5 years and start looking at maybe another acrylic coat on top of that and be a little more proactive in staying on top.
So it's only lasted a little less than 20 years.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Charlie, this is $82,000 for this resurfacing portion. What is the estimate on the other portion?
The material is going to run about $17,000, and then they'll bring up a crew, and it'll be under 15, is what I've been told. So we're looking at close to another 30,000 on top of it. Plus, then we have the fence that we need to repair, and in looking at some of the poles and the wind shear that we have over there with the existing fence. We've made a determination that it would be better and a more cost-effective method to lower that fencing down to 12 foot, and that bid came in at $11,500.
11,000.
And what budget is this coming out of, may I ask?
Bond.
This is coming out of the bond.
Okay. And we have enough money in the bond to pay for it?
We do.
Good.
Okay. Any further discussions, questions, comments?
I move that we accept the bid from, who are they? Parker and Son for the Eureka High School tennis court renovation.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 None opposed, motion carries. Item M28, Local Education Agency Plan.
Yes, I'm pleased to be able to bring this item back to you, and I would like to very briefly give another overview of the status of the plan and then answer any questions that you might have. We finally did get a response from California Department of Education, and as indicated in the letter from California Department of Ed is enclosed. It's on pages 49 and 50. Their request was that we include strategies to address those 4 areas in our plan, take it to our school board, and after approval, then go ahead and post it on our website. Implication is that all the rest of the plan is approvable. And I want to again point out the rubric on page 51 of your packet. This is the rubric which was the main evaluative criteria for judging our LEA plan, so that we had to make sure that we included strategies that addressed all of those areas in our plan, in addition to ongoing requirements to meet the needs of disadvantaged students and English learners and provide for safe schools programs. So the plan is a very comprehensive plan. As you're well aware, you've received copies of that. And since the last time that the plan was presented to you, I continued to get feedback not only from the state, but from principals and from teachers, from curriculum committee, so that further adjustments were made in order to write and develop strategies to address the things the state wanted us to do. I had to revise some of the other strategies so it created enough revision that's why I completely redid the sections that I asked you to replace in tab 2. The tab 2 replacement is for reading, tab 3 is for mathematics, and so all of those strategies represent the things that we're going to try to accomplish in the next 3 years. Tab 4 is about the English Learner Program, and there was one major change in that I had to make. Then in tab 6 is a description of how we meet the needs for safe schools, and I wanted to further elaborate on our long-term commitment to PBIS in that section.
And where is that? Do we have?
They're all under there.
It's in 6?
It's in 6.
I have 3 and 4. Do I have a 6 under
You
here
have
too?
6. They
Because
were
I
all
didn't see that. That's what I was
fastened
looking
under-
for.
They were all under one clip.
Yeah. I got replacement for 3 and 4. Oh, there's
There they
6. Okay. I didn't see that one. Okay.
You should have 2 on.
And so
Yeah, I do. I put that one in the
just
book.
a couple of final notes, and then I'll just let you ask questions. But again, to review, a meeting with the principals and with Cabinet a couple of months ago, we went through a process to identify priorities. We worked with the rubric that the state provided, and I want to enumerate the 5 top priorities by our administration as we implement this plan. There are a tremendous number of activities in the plan that we may not get to all of these this year. But one of the things that is certain is that we will try to implement the things that are the priorities. Priority 1 is teacher collaboration. Priority 2, a comprehensive, what's called response to intervention program throughout the district at all of the levels, which includes guidelines, materials, practices, and knowledge of tiered interventions, including materials to help students that are struggling. Priority 3 is ongoing training and support for staff on the data systems, which incorporate assessments, the standardized assessments, interim assessments, and formative assessments. Priority number 4, professional development for administration and teachers on the Common Core state standards. Priority 5, ongoing district support for positive behavior intervention and support programs. And the last thing is we are required to report twice a year to the state on progress achieving these goals and carrying out these strategies. And one of the things that I would like to ask is that, and you saw this visual, I think when I originally presented this document several months ago, it's a little diagram that shows a formation of a district leadership team that would include broad representation, teachers, bargaining unit representatives, principals, superintendent, a school board member, and a few other key people to help us to guide the implementation of this plan. I'll be talking with the new superintendent about this when the time is appropriate later as the next school year begins, as to how we would want to unfold this, how we would want to roll that out.
Now, do you have to send this back again for the state to look at again?
No.
And okay. Are you pretty much feel that we've covered everything the state's asked us to do?
We've absolutely covered everything.
Okay.
I just had it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Abe.
Okay. In the process, you're talking about the involvement of staff at all levels, the teachers and principals, and the implementation and a board member. Was that kind of collaboration utilized in the development of the plan?
Not precisely the way this little diagram outlines. The involvement, the needs assessment at the beginning was with the curriculum committee and with the principals. Those are and the superintendent's district advisory committee and the district English learner advisory committee. So
pretty much.
Yeah, for different portions, their input was valuable. for different sections.
Because the curriculum takes in teachers and all of the
Yeah, the curriculum committee is a
staff and so forth and so on, so that, you know, not just leadership staff.
That's right.
So it would pretty much seem that there was good input.
I believe so.
So I had a couple questions just from being on the curriculum committee and some of the things that were brought up there about some of the important things that were important to teachers and principals that were in that committee were some more site-specific funds being used at their sites for the instructional kind of coaching that they wanted to establish there as opposed to another district instructional coach.
Right.
And I also wanted to ask a little bit about the way that is there a budget that we can see that goes along with this document so that, how do we know how, it's hard to understand how the dollars are being spent. And I had a few questions on how they were spent, like district funds versus site funds, because that was one of the concerns I was hearing was that a lot of site funds were being used, and some of the principals wanted more control over what's happening at their sites.
Right. The conversation in particular about the instructional coaches, it was one of the recommendations from the curriculum committee was actually if it was in an ideal world, we would have 4 instructional coaches, one for the elementary level in math, one for elementary language arts, one for secondary math, one for secondary language arts. We can't afford that. And so what we decided is that it may be more appropriate to allow the school sites to pick up those costs on an as-needed basis, as was one of the suggestions coming from members of the curriculum committee. So one of the other commitments to positive behavior intervention and supports is a district-wide commitment, so that we agreed that the district categorical funds would take on the full cost of that, which would allow the school sites to pick up the cost of some of the other smaller scale improvements that teachers would get involved with curriculum or professional development.
Where is the PBIS funding that the district is? Where is that reflected in this plan?
That's in tab 6.
But tab 6 doesn't have any dollars connected to it, and everything else has dollars connected to it.
Right. So the dollars are mainly the ones that you see are in the action plan for reading and the action plan for mathematics, and the others don't show that. So I do have a budget which helped me to make sure that we're able to adequately address all of the activities, and I could bring that to a future school board meeting, maybe. Although the next board meeting is June 27, I won't be here. I'll be on vacation by that time, and then we're into August. And
how soon do we have to have this approved?
The original timeline is that it was to be approved by the board in April. Of course, we didn't get our feedback from the state in time to accomplish that, but the idea is that we get it done this spring.
This spring. Well, that's now.
Yeah. It would be nice to have more time to read all of this stuff.
We can, that's one of the, I think one of the benefits of forming a district-wide leadership team to guide the implementation is that revisions can be made, and a group can be formed that takes a look at the budget and makes decisions about how to allocate or reallocate as needed.
I'd love to be on that group. I'm interested in this.
Any further comments or questions?
Well, the state hasn't been in a big hurry, and I'm not in a real hurry to go along with anything. there's a lot in here, and I was wading through it. I haven't completed my evaluation of it, and I'm really concerned about the amount of collaboration that went into the actual plan. If we follow a plan, anytime I've worked with a plan, and once you get it in place, then you follow it. You chase that plan, and that's the document that you put your dollars behind. And if I question the amount of collaboration that went into it, then I'm not in a hurry to adopt it.
Would there be a problem adopting this plan in August as far as the time?
We could do that in August. That'd give you plenty of time to review the material.
Okay, so let's
Well,
put it.
isn't this just a revision of the original LEA plan?
It's a total rewrite of the math section.
It's a complete rewrite of the master plan, primarily the reading section
Right.
and the mathematics section.
Right.
The other sections are very much reflect the same content that we had in our LEA plan, which was revised in 2008.
That's what I thought.
And they were updated for some of our current initiatives for English learner programs. They were updated for the PBIS program. So the main revisions really are in the reading and the math section.
Okay.
That's just about a complete rewrite.
So if the state sent this information saying that these are the particular areas that we want to address, and we have addressed that, when is the timeline for getting that information back to the state? And saying, yes, this is what we did to address this.
We're not required to send another copy back to the state.
So they just assume we're going to take them.
Their process for monitoring our implementation is that we are required to submit a report to the state twice a year about the implementation. And so that's their way of making sure that we are doing what the state has wanted us to do and to make sure that we're doing what we said we would do.
So our first report on that would be after January?
Yeah, I believe that's in January.
The calendar year?
January next year.
Well, I'd like to, did you want to say something? I'd just like to make a motion then that our move. Oh, okay.
As Dr. Lentz was mentioning, it's a big undertaking to redo that big plan, and he did ask for lots of collaboration. And as you see, in terms of input at different meetings that I was at, I think the problem that I have a little bit with it is that where money was actually ended up being put, and what we say, like we're fully funding or supporting, which I totally appreciate the PBIS, and I think everybody here who works at a school, K-8, does appreciate the support. It's not really being fully funded next year in the plan from the district, and the sites are being asked to pick up quite a bit of the funding to support the implementation. This year, the substitute teachers were paid for so that our PBIS team members, who are vitally important to be meeting to develop the PBIS system at the sites, were funded through the district. And next year in the budget that I have seen, and I'm like everybody else, we're really scrambling, working really hard to run the school and keep everything going and keep all the wheels on the bus. So it's really hard to even connect with people sometimes. But the my last understanding was the district is offering to pay for 3 subs per site when the team meetings need to happen, and then the site would have to pick up any additional costs to send team members. And our sites, as was recommended, from the team consists of 6 to 10 members. So if they're only paying for 3, there's some others that aren't really funded. And I'm a little bit worried that sites won't have the money to fund the subs for the teachers who are really instrumental in making this happen and continue to happen, because we're still only in phase 1A of implementing PBIS. So that's one big concern that I have, and that when you're looking at where, like, all those things that are in that plan are important, but it's a priority of what you're going to fund. And so for me, when we said we were fully funding and supporting PBIS, now it feels like we're partially funding PBIS, and I'm worried that it's going to get watered down and not really get to get finished. So that's part of the concern that I have, but I know we're all in a big undertaking of trying to meet all sorts of requirements. But I'm fully vested in it. I want to see it happen in all of our schools, and we need to make sure we support it fully.
We don't need a motion.
Okay.
So let's bring it back on the first discussion action agenda item for the first meeting in August.
And I think we could bring it back.
Yeah, is there a way we have the breakdown on where the money, part of it?
Could we possibly get that before August so we could look at it with the materials? Yeah, okay.
So we should have it by the end of July.
Okay. Discussion item in 29, new course adoption. You're on 1, foreign language.
I'm pleased to let Mr. Jordan address this, and as he's making his way to the podium, to point out in your packet on page 53, the course of study that Mr. Jordan presented to the curriculum committee, which gave this course a unanimous recommendation. And then starting on page 55 is some correspondence from the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, which explains the law that authorizes a Native American tribe to certify a teacher as qualified to teach their foreign language.
Thank you. As Dr. Lenz said, we've moved this course through the process that is set for the district. From the inception, we brought this course for general discussion in front of the department chairs, and department chairs, after some discussion, approved the course moving forward, the course description, and support material then came to the curriculum council. We presented to the curriculum council. The curriculum council, as Dr. Lenz said, was in favor of it, and so now we're at the board. The course is a wonderful opportunity for Eureka High School, and Dr. Lenz can speak about the team approach that we've taken on funding the course and the positive energy that it's created. But clearly there is a large group of students at Eureka High School that will be well served by this course coming into being. It's a course that exists in Del Norte, and we've piggybacked on the work that they've done to develop the course description and the goals as presented here. And without a lot of information going out to students about the nature of the course, we were concerned that we weren't going to have enough kids sign up for it. We felt if we could get 17, 18 kids to sign up for it, that we would be able to run the course. Fortunately, we had 39 kids that signed up for it. Depending on how the master schedule works out, we may or may not have to do some sort of a lottery or a higher order to determine which kids get to stay in the class. But it is a first year of really what will turn into a 2-year project. With the successful running of the course this year, we'll be back to the board next year asking you to approve Eureka 2. Again, a course that we'll piggyback on from Del Norte. The course has been approved to meet A through G, the foreign language requirement to gain entrance into the UC-CSU system. And so with the successful completion of this course, we've created one more pathway for kids to take to meet those entrance requirements. So, as I said, we're very excited. I think it has created some wonderful goodwill in the community, and we look forward to finding the perfect teacher to come in with, along with the help from the tribe, and work with our kids, and ideally over the course of the next year grow it into a full 2-year program. And it offers, as I said, many interesting opportunities and many interesting issues that we have to resolve, because quite literally there are no teachers anywhere that are credentialed to teach Eureka, and so we have this alternative means to bring a teacher in. So it's wonderful to be part of an opportunity to keep what was just 20, 25 years ago considered a language that was on the verge of dying. Now to be able to participate in its revival is a real joy for us.
Is the Del Norte High, is it Yurok too? I thought it was one of the other tribes. I thought it was Waiute.
Yurok is being taught at Del Norte.
And McKinleyville.
And McKinleyville.
Okay.
And
there's another language too.
There's another language being taught in
Okay. Why? That must be the other.
A couple of concerns. One is the credentialing of the teacher and the evaluation of the teacher. Will it be the same process with a probationary teacher as we do with all our other employees?
Rich might be able to speak to some of those specifics, but what we have talked about was the teacher would be ultimately hired by Eureka City Schools, and so the evaluation process would be the same as it would be for any of our teachers.
I could also.
My concern has to do with non-certificated teachers coming on board, even though it's allowed, and having the skills to handle a class of high school students. And I also have a concern where this track would take students as far as being able to use it down the road. I have some hesitation to go this direction.
I wish we had someone from the tribe here, because I think what they would say is that the use of it down the road is literally for the survival of the culture, and that language is so key to every culture that this particular opportunity is pretty phenomenal to be able to, as I said, to be at this level at the start of regenerating the language. And so the use, although quite different than the use of a student who is learning Spanish, for example, from the tribe's perspective.
I understand the tribe's perspective. My wife is Karuk, and been involved with some of the language issues that they have gone through to revive their language. I just have concerns about this pathway in a public high school where we're preparing students to follow up with other courses. And I understand from the tribe's perspective, this is a wonderful thing.
I'd like to jump in here as well. Hearing from members of the Yurok tribe and hearing about the accomplishments of McKinleyville High School, Hoopa High, and Del Norte High, that what they've been able to do is they've been able to increase their graduation rate among the Native American populations over the course of the years that they've offered these classes. And the ability to learn a second language is not to be underestimated, that learning a second language in general, whether it's Spanish or German or a Native American tribe language, it develops the brain in a very important way, in that the students, it has benefits in other areas of their studies. It is also a course that meets A to G requirements, and so that the students can use this to get into a university. And the fact that there would be many more students motivated to take a language and succeed at the language, I think is worth the investment in the time and the effort to make this succeed, if we get more kids able to graduate and be and meet the criteria for university entrance as well.
It sounds to me like, though, you would have to be relatively committed to this a second year. I mean, I understand it's a pilot, and then you'll be coming back to the board and saying, well, you stopped that. That was just awful. Back to the board saying, okay, now we would like you to approve a new course for Yurok 2. But it sounds like going into it, you have to be pretty sure that that would be the direction you're headed, that come next year, we're also going to approve the next year of this language. Otherwise, they've taken 1 year when 2 years is required. If we don't approve year 2, we've done kind of a disservice to that group of kids that won't get 2 years of the same language.
And obviously, when when we eliminated French at the high school, we ran into that problem. We had students that had taken French 1, and we didn't have anything to offer to them in the second year. And there is a leap year, without a doubt. And I'm happy that Del Norte High School has taken that leap before us, and we know that there has been success. So it is a leap of faith that we're asking the board to make. Financially, it is not as significant of a leap as it might be otherwise because of the partnership. To get back to Hank's question about and concerns about the credential, this is something that we have talked about at length. We are talking about a student with a BA, and there are a number of individuals that the tribe has spoken with. There is 2 people that I would love to see in the position, and they're both interested in coming in and doing that. We have other teachers on campus that don't have that 5th year credential program. A number of our CTE teachers that have full caseloads of kids, classloads of kids, are in that same boat with in comparison to their counterparts that have preliminary credentials, have relatively short training to come into the classroom. But we make an exception there because we know that there are very few people left in the state of California that have industrial arts degrees, for example, and have done a 5th year program who can come in and teach auto. And so that is something that we have allowed the exceptions to be in place. And that's currently the situation at Eureka High School. And this is exactly the same situation where there just aren't people, it just doesn't exist. And there is not a single subject credential available in Europe. And we have to start somewhere.
I think that it would be a really great program, and I think I would like to see us be able to do both years. And I think not only are you going to learn a language, but you're going to learn about a culture. And I think it'd be really good for kids that live in this area to learn about the Native American culture that's right here. And there are further studies. I mean, there's Native American studies that Humboldt State offers and other colleges offer that I would think this would be a really good thing to have in your resume if you're interested in that kind of an education. So I really think it sounds wonderful, and I'd like to see us do it.
She took the words right out of my mouth. All of them.
Sorry. The only objection I have to this course is that I'm not going to be able to take it myself. I think it's a great idea.
That's how you do it.
I want to see us commit to the second year so that we don't have that issue hanging out there.
So I guess we'll bring it back on.
You want to bring it back on discussion action so that we could have further dialogue, but still then
Discussion, action, or consent?
Or consent.
Are we
Consent is fine.
Are we required to bring it back for a second time?
Oh, is it under discussion action?
It's under discussion, not discussion action.
No, it's just discussion.
So yes.
Yeah, I think we could come back under consent. Well, if you had 39 kids sign up for it, it's bound to, I can't see why that second year is not going to work.
Yes, I would agree.
And for public relations, it's a good idea.
And actually, we didn't even consider bringing the 2 courses together. And in hindsight, it probably would have been a good idea to bring both courses forward. And the next time we're introducing a new foreign language, we'll all remember that as the proper way the proper strategy.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
So item N30, curriculum adoption, all the pretty horses and outliers for Eureka High AP Lit.
And I'd like to make one slight correction, that this is, and that was my error in misunderstanding. It's not for AP Literature, it's for AP Language. AP Literature is senior AP Languages for 11th graders. So with that, the information was brought to the Curriculum Committee, and discussion was held, and committee gave approval to recommend this to the school board, and Mr. Jordan will present on behalf of Ben Henshaw.
So again, thank you. We let Ben go home and work on his schoolwork because he's got a pile of work, and we didn't know what time this was going to come on. If you remember, a little earlier in the year, we came to the board with a massive adoption of a series of novels that we have used in various English classes, and in reviewing after the Williams review earlier in the year, we reviewed our total list and realized that there were books on here that we had been using and we have adopted. And so we brought, I think, about 15 books to you at one time through this process of Curriculum Council and board approval. At that time, we also discussed the AP, these two AP English classes, and that on occasion, those AP teachers choose to give a summer reading that is a contemporary book, and that we want to have something in place, and the board acknowledged that, yeah, we might be bringing back additional books on a regular occasion. And as the case may be, Ben has looked at 2 books that he would like to use this summer, which are different than the books that he used last summer. The first, some of you probably are familiar with Gladwell's book, Outliers, a piece of nonfiction, and it's really about looking at the success of exceptional people. Goes into great detail looking at Bill Gates and the Beatles and Oppenheimer, and investigating how these folks don't necessarily follow what we think as a traditional pathway to success, and discusses how they've come to be true leaders in their various areas. Spends a lot of time talking about the 10,000 hour rule, which is that you have to be doing something for 10,000 hours to really have this point at which you become spectacular. And this great part about the Beatles and Hamburg, so if you haven't read it, it's a wonderful book. But again, a great piece of contemporary nonfiction, absolutely what we should be asking our high school kids in these college equivalent courses to be reading. It's a difficult read, but it is a very true reflection of the kind of contemporary nonfiction that is being written today, and from an author that is making a living, doing his thing. And there's a reference here to Gladwell's other books, Tipping Point, which came before this, and then Blink, which came afterwards. So it's a book that we've used. Tipping Point was in Willits. We used it. I don't know if it was part of the reading list that we had here in the district, but that's Malcolm Gladwell's book. The second book is Corey McCarthy's All the Pretty Horses. This is a piece of fiction and part of McCarthy's Borderline or Border trilogy, very much in that Western tradition, takes place post-World War II, and is a book that I have read, and it's kind of desolate. Really, the main character is a very isolated character, but again, a real solid example of contemporary American literature. The book was written in '92. And so it's always nice when our kids get a chance to read a piece of fiction written by someone who's still alive and still producing works. So it's a fine read, and I was really pleased that Ben had chosen this particular book. I remember reading it when it had first come out, and sort of put me down a pathway of reading a couple of other books from the genre, and so there's going to be, I'm sure, some kids that are absolutely going to love this. Some that will be like, but that's how it's going to be.
That's the way it always is.
But again, any chance we can get a piece of literature in the hands of kids by an author that's still alive, that's a great opportunity. So these are the 2 books that Mr. Henshaw would like to have his AP students read this summer. These are kids coming out of their sophomore year going into the
I read All the Pretty Horses, and I really liked it, and the movie's good with Brad Pitt in it too. And then the other book, it sounded really interesting in the curriculum committee, so I ordered one on Amazon, and I've started it, and it is good. I like it. And the other thing I was just going to mention was that The Outliers is the book of the year for CR in Humboldt State.
Which is one of the other reasons Ben was hoping to pull this book forward.
Consent?
Just come back on consent.
I see it's $10 a copy. How much did it cost on Amazon? Do you know?
Yeah, I paid $6 for it.
Which gets to my point about ebooks for those that have them. You know, for the convenience of it.
We'll buy enough books so every student can have one, but the reality about these AP courses is that the students
want their own.
Buy their own,
Yeah.
so they can mark them up. And really, while we can't tell them that's what they have to do, that's what the vast majority will do, because part of what we train them to do is how to really write into a book and use it to then reference in your writing to follow up.
Well, I have copies of both of them that I can donate after I'm done with the second one.
Do you have a comment from Ms. Scheffler?
Yes.
I just wanted to know if I could speak for a couple minutes. I didn't turn in a form because I didn't want to cause a brouhaha earlier. I just want to say a couple positive things about a few
By
things.
all means.
Is it okay?
Positive thing.
I asked tomorrow morning at 8, and so I wanted to see is that okay?
Sure.
Sure, go ahead.
Sure, I won't be long-winded. My name's Katrina Scheffler. I don't really need this either. Not very many people. I want to thank my mom. She was so respectful. She came for my apple pin, and she doesn't leave unless something's over. So thank you, Mom. There's a few. I'm getting there for you. So there was some people, because I don't know how many people are going to come to the last board meeting, and it sounds like Rich isn't going to be here. And I personally have had a fantastic year. And even though there's some depressing things that happen in the district, there's some wonderful things too. First of all, I wanted to thank my daughter, who is a Eureka High School senior, and other seniors, because they help support my after-school program so much. They volunteer hundreds of hours every year. So I want all of you to know what seniors at Eureka High School are doing with service learning, because they have been instrumental at times in helping my after-school program, and our kids love them. They volunteer at our carnivals and all kinds of things beyond the after-school program too, so I wanted you to be aware of that. They're not just doing senior projects, they're just there helping other kids. So for Eureka High School students, thank you. Thank you, Rachel. I also wanted to thank one of the board members, Wendy Davis. She does come to Lafayette, and she comes quite often. Earlier this year, when my students were working on our CAN structure, which is our Food for People competition, which Lafayette has won the last 3 years, out of 3 years that they've done that. Wendy came, she sat through one of our discussions with our students in our service learning group, and she allowed the students to come up and schmooze her out of some money. So Wendy became one of our sponsors for our CAN sculpture, a competition that our students, we were able to get over $1,000 worth of community sponsors for that competition. So Wendy, thank you. She is also the best silent clown at a carnival I have ever seen. The kids are still talking about her a week later. So Wendy dressed up in complete clown outfit and entertained at our carnival last Friday. So, okay. Now, you know what? They all think it's me because I dress up as the Cat in the Hat during the year. And one kid said, well, it must be your sister then because you guys look alike. So we look alike. Just so you know. Also, Wendy in the past has walked with me on a field trip, another service learning field trip to St. Joseph's Hospital, provided my students with juice and things like that and a stop at her house. And we're excited because, again, this year Wendy has offered to go on our field trip with us to deliver blankets to St. Joseph's Hospital. So, Wendy, thank you so much for your support of Lafayette School and my after-school program. So thank you very much. The last person I want to say something about, because I feel so guilty, I feel she's been absolutely left out, is Jan Schmidt. And I keep talking to her because I said, no one's talking about you. No one's begging to keep you at Lafayette. And the reason is because we love her. She's a phenomenal principal. She's the best principal I've ever worked with. She's innovative. She's caring. She's a doer. She brings in new programs. She's made a huge difference to Lafayette. And why are we not fighting for her? Because she's that amazing. And we know that she wants to work at Zane, and she could really help Zane. She has just been so instrumental in the things that she has done at Lafayette and bringing PBIS in. She collaborates with the staff. We love her. We all love her. But we're not up here fighting to keep her at Lafayette because we know she wants Zane. And I think that it's really important that people should be able to move on in their careers in the direction that they're interested in. So I just want to let you know that the reason we haven't been fighting for her is because we know what she wants. But she is a phenomenal principal, and we absolutely love her at Lafayette. So thank you to Jan Schmidt, who had to leave too, getting ready for PBIS tomorrow, and Wendy, and then all the seniors at Eureka High that helped. So I wanted to just give something exciting and happy to the board meeting, and so I appreciate you allowing me to speak. I kind of felt like earlier if I said happy things, people might boo me or something, so thank you for letting me speak.
Where's Kelly May when we need her?
Thank you.
Okay, so item N31, more happy and fun things. Report on summer facility maintenance project.
And that would be Charlie.
That's right.
Paul's running because it always costs money when I come into his office. So I believe the board has a list of our summer projects. It's going to be a pretty nuts and bolts summer for our maintenance department. We're going to start out at Lafayette, replacing sidings on several of the buildings over there. We're also contracting out a couple of roofs on our portables, a double wide and a single wide at Lafayette. Some of the projects we've already started, such as the Smart Board grant, has been completed. We'll start working on the drinking fountain, not only as a maintenance but also a PR project. The PTA is purchasing that fountain for the field at Washington, and we'd like to get that in before the kids are gone and the parents have moved on to our junior highs. So the tentative arrival of the fountain is hopefully tomorrow, and we'll start pushing to get that in before the end of the year. So we're continuing work at Winship, getting the plans for the locker room underway, and then just some general painting, maintenance, sealing the buildings. When you look at the cafeterias areas at Washington and Lafayette, the stucco there is starting to show some cracks, and we're sealing those, as well as the library. When we did our remodel there, and then the other time we did see some water penetration through the stucco through the building. So again, a lot of nuts and bolts. Any questions from the board?
I'm glad to see the boys' locker room down there.
Actually, we have started the heating ventilation system. That is almost completed. So we just got the ventilation system moved up there today, and they were working on install. We'll have some duct work done, but again, before the end of June, that will be up and running. When school lets out, we'll start demoing the restroom. So that's on the top.
Oh, what's on the end?
I see the district office to be the exterior windows, but not actually painted the outside.
That right now is under discussion for color schemes, and we would like to put some hardy planking over the existing siding, as we had done at Jefferson. We've done that at Lincoln. The reason being is with the redwood siding, at times that's actually been taken down to bare wood, and you can see that it doesn't stick to that for whatever reason. The tannins in the wood and the moisture and the movement of the wood. So we would like to put a hardy plank shiplap, as we've done with the other sites, and proceed that way. But also we need to pick a color, and I don't pick color.
So I noticed there's 48 items here on your list. You're going to have a busy summer.
We are. We're not going to make them all, but we're going to, again, we've talked with principals and that, such as the projector mounts and that. We'll continue these projects throughout the school year. If they can move out of the room, we'll go ahead and start working that way. We've been pretty successful at Zane. Alice Burnley allowed us this winter to get their smart boards up. So we can continue on as we are starting our summer earlier this year. We will also continue it into the fall when the school session ends.
Can I ask a question about the oversight committee, which I guess would be you or whatever? Have they had their last meeting yet?
No, there's still one meeting left to go.
Okay. I'm bringing this up because it kind of came up in a loud voice at a large group of people, with a large group of people present, that we were not including them and that all of the projects had not been completed. And two of the things they mentioned were the boys' locker room, the track, the three, and the other one was the tennis courts. And I said, to my knowledge, they were all at least started or in the works. But this was very, very loudly said amongst people. It should never have been said. And so are we at the end, when these projects are done, then have we finished everything that we said we're going to do under the bond?
No, we won't have enough money to do everything that we said we were going to do under the bond. So we'll run out of money before all the projects are completed.
No, but we did a revisitation and we came up with a few things that we said were
priorities.
The priorities.
Yes.
The priorities will be done by.
Yep.
Okay.
In order of priority too. So we just
Yes.
went down the list.
Okay.
Yes. Till the money ran out.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Charlie.
Really quickly, as Charlie's leaving the podium, I just wanted to acknowledge what great work he does for us. He's here, there, everywhere, and as you can see, there's a large list of items to take care of. His staff as well does a really fantastic job, so we're much indebted to him.
Yeah.
Item N32, District Technology Plan 2012-2015.
The District Technology Plan is another one of the plans required by the state, and it is also required so that we can get a price break on E-rate funding and EETT so that we can qualify for future technology grants. The current plan that we were working under expired at the end of this year, June 2012, and so we have developed a new plan for the 2012 to 2015 school year. In your packet is attached a PowerPoint, an overview of the planning process that was used going back to October, November, working with the technology committee. We had representation from each of the school sites and from administration. And in the slides, and each of you do have a copy of the tech plan, and the tech plan in itself, and there's copies here. So in case anybody in the audience would like to take a look at the plan. But so that you understand the structure of it, I have prepared in the slides handout a sort of an overview. So if you could please take a look at in your packet on page 67. The slide at the bottom of the page says the what. So there's three sections that are the what. What's it about? If you skip over to page 69, at the top of page 69 is the how, which is sections 4, 5, and 6 of the plan, is how we're going to accomplish meeting our objectives for students using technology to improve their skills. And then finally on page 70 is the how well section, section 7, 8, and 9, how we're going to monitor and evaluate, how we're going to collaborate with providers of adult literacy, and other material that was required for the plan. So that's a general overview of the content of the technology plan. So my intention is only to introduce it to you tonight and to bring it back to the next board meeting. And again, I apologize. My original planning was that I would be able to be here with you June 20 to answer questions about it. Perhaps, where did he go? Is he hiding? There you are, Marcel.
He's so small you can't see him.
Marcel and I were co-chairs. Somehow you just blended right into the wall there. And, so on the 27th, I don't know if you're going to be in town, but when this comes back to the school board on the 27th, Marcel would be available to answer any questions, any detailed questions you have about that. One of the things that you'll notice in the plan and how it also relates to the LEA plan is because in the LEA plan, we describe the need to upgrade technology and to help students increase access to technology. That's one of the required elements of the LEA plan, so that there's a long-term schedule for replacing computers in the district that are no longer going to be supported in terms of their operating system as of April of 2014. So we need a long-term schedule, and that requires a great deal of funds. So that to replace 600 computers requires a commitment each year of approximately $100,000 of general fund and $100,000 of site categorical funds, so that you can see when we try to get all of these things to fit into a local educational plan, we have to pare back on some activities. It's a real struggle to make everything fit. So if there are any questions now on the technology plan, I'll be happy to answer those. Otherwise, let you take a look at it, and on the 27th, we'll have it back for discussion and action.
Okay, so discussion action for June 27th.
John, I would just like to make the comment that we have an exceptionally fine technology department. Truly, I don't know what I'd do without it. In fact, yesterday, Byron told me how over the phone I got myself into Adobe Reader, which I'd lost someplace. And so, I mean, it's something, but I always can depend on calling, and if I can't get the answer, why, or he will tell me, just try doing something, and I say, well, it won't break the computer, and he says, no. That's my biggest concern, is that I'm going to do something that's bad. But anyway, we are very, very lucky to have the group of people that the young men that you have working with you. Very lucky. So don't let any of them go.
I'd like to add, if I may, please, just one more comment in the plan itself. On page 4 and 5, you'll see the list of stakeholders. Something that I am really excited about is that right about the point when our committee had completed work on this, a lot of folks played many different roles in helping us conduct the teacher surveys, the student surveys, compiling those, analyzing those, and writing action plans and strategies for improving our use of technology to improve student learning. And then we got to the point we had an invitational meeting. We invited our stakeholders to come to a meeting. We had excellent representation from Humboldt State University. The president, Roland Richmond, was there, and during the meeting he committed his resources, his staff, to assisting Eureka City Schools in carrying out professional development to improve the use of technology, to improve instruction. So I'm real pleased at the direction that took in terms of our outreach and involvement with the our extended partnership.
Great group.
That sounds like a lot of collaboration.
Peter Pennycamp.
Okay. Last item in 33, report on Governor's May revise.
Is this happy? It's not happy? Do we want to hear it?
I think it was a bedtime story.
Yeah, nightmare.
Something like that. Leanne and I and Patrick Riggs and Autumn Hoffman were able to travel to Sacramento for the presentation from School Services of California about the governor's May revision proposal. And the room was packed. There was no air conditioning. It seemed to suit the mood of the moment. And actually, as we were mingling beforehand, I saw Rick Hanger sitting up there, and I went up to say hi to him. And he had what was a wine glass, because they were serving out of wine glasses, and it turned out to be cranberry juice. But based on the mood of the meeting and the information that was given out there, I wouldn't have been surprised he actually had wine in that glass. So anyway, there's the preamble to it. This is a presentation that School Services of California puts together as part of their presentation for the May revision. There's additional copies up front if anybody is interested in some nicely colored takeaways there. We all have a copy of that. We also have a copy of the pocket budget that School Services of California puts out. It's a handy thing to carry around in case anybody asks you what are the dartboard factors, or anyway, you don't have to carry it around, but it's there for your edification if you're interested. And there's copies of the dartboard, or excuse me, of the pocket budget up there if people are interested as well. So
That's neat. I can remember I have it.
So to start it off, kind of the overview is these were the themes for the May revision, and as you can see, the main issue is it's all about the economics. What we're seeing right now in the state is that our revenues are improving at a much slower rate than were originally expected, and lots of pressure on the state budget, lots of competition for the resources that are there. And the bottom line is, as we get the new budget rolled out with what the governor's proposing, our best case, as we've talked before, really is just flat funding for education. The best news for us is to not encounter additional cuts. It could be a lot worse than that depending on how the election goes. In addition to flat funding, which we were hoping to be able to enjoy in 12-13, we are also, if the election does pass, would look at a lessening of the deferrals of cash that we are suffering through right now. So in January, the governor introduced the tax initiative that was expected to fill the revenue gap, but since that time, revenues have not gone as everybody had hoped. Revenues continue to fall, and at last count in May, there was about a $16 billion gap in what the original projection had been from the state's perspective. And that will very likely impact us as we go forward. The bottom line there, and this is one of the cautions for SSC from State School Services of California, it may not seem good right now, but today's funding level may in fact be our new reality for as long as we can see out there. Put differently, we're not seeing an uptick in revenues or anticipating that over the next 2-3 years as we look forward. Mentioned that the budget shortfall has grown to almost $16 million in May, and even if the governor's tax measure does pass in November, the state budget will still be suffering through some difficult times. So the governor proposes, as ways to deal with where we are right now, more manipulations to reduce the Prop 98 funding. That impacts us because it lessens the pool that we are able to be funded from. All in all, the planned K funding that was presented at the May revision was much like what we heard in January, which is flat funding if the taxes pass and big cuts if they don't. Either way, 12-13 is not going to be a banner year for education funding, but the failure of the taxes to be passed through the initiative, as it says here, would be disastrous. In all, if the taxes fail, schools will lose about $5.5 billion. That is currently on the table. Our share of that would be about $1.575 million is what the impact would be to Eureka City Schools if the tax initiative doesn't go through. I lost a page out of there. Anyway, I don't know what happened to it. One of the issues that occurs is, and it's not on a slide up there, is that there's a lot of confusion within the public, because a lot of what's being ballyhooed with the governor's tax initiative is the fact that we are expected, or it's being said that schools will be receiving additional funding, and unfortunately that's not the case. It's been put out, excuse me, about $6 billion more for schools, but we don't see a dime additional compared to what we're seeing this year, and in fact, as we've already said, it could be a lot worse. The goal, the best that we can see for, is the absence of another cut and the absence of additional deferrals. We'll see how that shakes out. But again, not a single new dollar comes out of this initiative, nor have we seen since 2007-08 any new dollars that have come to our local school districts. The governor's major proposals are very similar to what we had seen in January. Temporary taxes are expected to help fill the gap, counting on that quite heavily. Cash deferrals are the balancers, so even though the initiative may go through, we don't see additional dollars coming to us. The expectation is that we would see some of the deferrals that are out there paid down. In fact, about $2.5 billion of that overall projected $6 billion increase would go to pay down the deferrals that have been amassing over time.
Would that not help us?
That would help us from a cash position, certainly. That would be a welcome occurrence should it occur. But I'll just say again that the biggest issue for us is please don't cut the revenues anymore. It's already difficult, as you well know. A couple of the other things that were of note were continuing to talk about the weighted student formula. Not a lot of change there, but what they did do is increase the base amount, so the per ADA dollars that would come out of the weighted student formula were increased. Some of the secondary grant numbers, if you will, based on free and reduced and English learning students, those dollars were decreased. And you have to remember this, it's a zero-sum game. There's a particular pot of money that is represented by all these different categoricals that are being thrown together, and they'll be redistributed. In that process, some people will be winners, some people will be losers, some people will come out relatively status quo. We're somewhere near the middle. I think we would be a slight positive in the short run. Numbers just came out that show what the projection would be like over the next, I think it's a 6 or 7 year phase in. And if those numbers are to be believed, we would see an upward arc with our revenue. But again, the weighted student formula is dependent on the tax initiative being passed. If it doesn't pass, that all goes by the wayside. Also, transitional kindergarten is an interesting one. The legislature continues to resist elimination of the transitional kindergarten mandate. The governor continues to push for it, and I think what we heard most recently is he's prepared to line item veto anything that comes through that tries to keep it on the table. So I'm not quite sure how that works. I thought it had to come through as a bill that he would have to approve for him to be able to line item veto, but that's what he's been threatening in any case. And that makes it really difficult for us to plan because we're not quite sure what's going to happen with transitional kindergarten as we look forward. Oh, hey, there it is. It was backwards. So the California economy, as we all know, economy is recovering slowly. The housing market continues to be a drag on growth. Our employment picture is much like the rest of the nation. We're at about 11% right now, and none of that bodes well for what revenues are going to look like as we go forward. So even if the legislature does adopt the May revision as they're currently proposed, the state budget still faces lots of risks to see if it will come to pass the way that it is proposed. Who knows what will happen when this goes to the polls? Right now there's about a 54% approval for the governor's proposal. Very interesting, when the polling occurs, 54% of the people say that we're in favor of the new taxes, but about 75% of the polling says, but we don't want trigger reductions. So there's obviously a disconnect between those two concepts there, and it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out and how that is really resolved when we get to the polls in November. At this time, the measure is yet to qualify for the November ballot. They have about 1 million signatures or more. We have to have 800,000 valid signatures, I think is the number, for it to actually be on the ballot. I think everybody's expectation is that it will get there, but at least at this point, it has not yet. It's not yet passed that test.
When does it have to be? When is the date?
I think we're by the end of June, something like that. So it's coming up pretty quickly. So we'll know yay or nay, at least on whether it's on the ballot or not. And then the other risk, of course, is the competing measure that has been put forward by Molly Munger and the Parent-Teacher Association. They posed the question at the May revision workshop, what would happen if both of those measures were passed? And we all went off into happy land for a few minutes. But we'll see if that really comes to pass or not. And I think everybody is thinking that it's unlikely that both of them would pass, and more likely that the confusion from voters of looking at the two competing measures would bring them both down to defeat. So, but Ms. Munger is not backing off her proposal at this point. It looks like they're probably both headed towards the ballot, is the best guess right now.
And we need to get out there and support both of them. Get them both passed.
Well, I've been telling people vote early and often. So. So here's kind of then looking at some of the numbers and taking it through what happened in 2011 and 12. The revenue limits were reduced as a result of the mid-year trigger reductions, and the reduction only turned out to be about $13 per ADA. For us, that was about a $50,000 hit to our revenue, much less than what had been proposed originally. There was also the intended reduction for transportation. And at the start of the year, half of that money basically was eliminated. It's come back to us. All in all, that's about $382,000 of revenue that we are able to keep for 11 and 12 and would be proposed to stay on the table in 12-13. One of the interesting things with the weighted student formula with transportation is that although those dollars stay out there and we're assured of them in 12-13, if the initiative passes, those dollars would come in on an unrestricted basis. So everybody would still receive their transportation monies irrespective of the fact of having a transportation program or not. And for some districts, that will be an interesting question as to how do they put those dollars to use if indeed it does become a flexed category, not just next year but going forward as well. Anyway, and the mid-year trigger reductions were one time. The funds are restored in 2012-13, so we get to see those dollars coming back to us. This is what the government giveth, the government taketh away. So in the May revision, it does include the statutory cost of living adjustment, 3.24%. But at the same time, they give us a COLA. They increase the deficit factor, which means that we don't see the money. So the deficit factor is going to be up to about 22% as we're heading into 12-13. Again, based on best case scenarios. And what that really means is it's a mechanism whereby the state can say, yes, we're following through, we're giving the COLA that was supposed to be there, but we're not going to give it to you anytime soon. That number keeps on rising. We were high 19% in 2011-12, and again, we're looking at about 22% as we look into 12-13. Put differently, we get 78 cents on the dollar for every dollar that's supposed to be coming to us. For what it's worth, in 2012-13, that you can see for a unified school district such as us, it would be about $212 per ADA. That equates to roughly $750,000 if we were to have actually received that COLA in the form of cash. Next page, and this is kind of an interesting and yet depressing figure. This takes an average school district, unified school district, funded at what would be $6,747 per ADA, but with the 22.272% deficit factor, it actually takes $1,500 off the table. So the net that we receive based on the funded base revenue limit is a little over $5,200. Again, if that $1,500 per student, if we were to actually be receiving that, would equate to about $5.4 million worth of additional revenue to the district.
So the $1,500 we never get, or is it deferred?
It's deferred, and there's lots of conversation and speculation as to whether we will ever see that. I think there was a lot of concern with the weighted student formula that what would happen is some of the other categorical funds that we receive right now, they would actually say, here's your categorical funds as part of the weighted student formula, and by the way, that wiped out your deficit factor. That went away with the proposal, but that was a lot of the concern that we were looking at that time.
So our deferral is approximately $6 million or so total. And what is it total for the entire state?
It's about $9.5 billion, I believe.
So at one point it'll just get so large, even in good times, they won't be able to pay it all back.
What it means is we'll actually defer a whole year to the next year at a certain point, I think is what it means. And John, just for point of clarification, the deficit factor is actually, here's the $6,700 you're supposed to receive, but we're only going to give you $5,200. But on top of that, that $5,200, we're going to defer an additional, I think it's 38% of that. So there's the deficit factor, which means money that isn't coming to us, and then there's the deferral aspect that says of the money that's coming to you, we're not going to give you all that cash. So it really is a double whammy to us. And this is really the two-step that the state goes through to say that we're going to keep flat funding from year to year. In 2011, they had the 19.754 deficit. That's the green bar up on top, the 1291. We had the mid-year trigger cuts that took away revenue limit and transportation. The overall funding was roughly 5,200 or 5,189. Now what's happening is the revenue limit cut and the transportation cut is coming back to us, and in essence, what we're saying is it's the same level as what was supposed to occur in the year previous. It's just a little bit of a shell game and a way to shift the dollars around so that it does look like it's flat funding from year to year. And a picture just says a 1,000 words here. If you, at the far left hand of the graph is where we should be at a certain point in time would have been 5,821. That was in 2007-08. And then you can see that the top line is what should have been happening based on both COLA and fully funding the baseline dollars. Baseline dollars is a bit of a shift in the Prop 98 dollars. So put differently, over a 5-year period, that per ADA number should have grown from 5,821 up to 6,747. Instead, what we're facing for 2012-13 is 5,244. That's what's on the table right now. And if the trigger reductions occur, that number drops down to about $4,789 per ADA. So you can see that gap is roughly $3,000 between what we could have and should have been receiving and what we may receive under a worst-case scenario if indeed the trigger reductions occur. The 47, the difference between the 5244 on the very far right, the yellow line or whatever that is, and then that sharp line that comes down, the black line, the 4789, that is a $455 per ADA cut, which was originally proposed with the trigger reductions. That's backed off a little bit. They gave us $14 per back, so it's only proposed to be $441. So we'll thank gosh for little favors there. Excuse me. So here we are, the last few slides here. What does it look like if the taxes fail? Again, SSC had been recommending $455 per ADA. That has been since revised to somewhere between $440, $445. We're building our 12-13 budget based on the SSC recommendation of $441 per ADA reduction. And that's what we're going to be seeing at the next meeting is how that impacts our budget and what that looks like for both 12-13 and as we carry it for the 2 additional multi-years. So the $441 per ADA, that again equates to about a $1,575,000 overall revenue reduction if in fact the trigger reductions are implemented. Another thing that the May revision proposes, if in fact the taxes fail, is to allow another 15 days less of school in a school year. So we've already seen the possible reduction from 180 to 175 days. If the trigger reduction kicks in, we would be allowed, if you will, another 15 days, so we could conceivably reduce the school year down to 160 instructional days. That's a great solution, huh?
Which would decrease salaries and everything.
That would be, yeah.
Furloughs.
Yeah.
Furloughs.
And both those things would probably be issues. We would certainly be wanting to talk about that. What would the fiscal impact be? And probably likely the only solution to that would be to look at furlough days and the like. But it also brings up how do we educate our students in that period of time.
How do we pass the test?
Yeah. So I can't answer that one for you. What should we plan for? Obviously difficult when you are facing a potential cut like that in the middle of the year, but some of the very solid things that are here is needing to talk through the collective bargaining process and starting to plan for what does happen if that $441 per ADA cut comes into place, looking at potential of shortening the school year. Cash continues to be a concern. It's already a concern. It's getting even more difficult to take a look at that. But as they're saying here, it means that for us and for many districts around the state, the answer is most likely going to have to be some form of borrowing. I think we talked about that at one of the meetings recently, that we would likely be looking at a tax revenue anticipation note as a way to bridge that cash gap. I won't even bring up any other funds that might help us in that process. Plan to offer transitional kindergarten. So really to plan to be able to provide it, but delay making the staffing decisions or bringing the staff in on board until we know for sure what direction we're going to go with that.
That doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't at all.
It doesn't make sense at all.
And then, last but not least, and here's maybe the good way of looking at it, what should we plan for if the governor's tax initiative does pass? First of all, it would mean that the weighted student formula does kick in. That changes very drastically the way that we receive some of our categorical revenues. Adult education is obviously one of the large ticket items that has been helping keep us going as we've been moving forward. That would be folded into the overall weighted student formula. Again, early indications are that would be a bit of a wash for us, but it's all kind of conjectural right now. We don't know if the weighted student formula would come out the way that it's proposed right now, if there would be additional changes to it. We will want to talk about the happy thoughts of reversing some of our planned budget cuts and how we would implement or how we would prioritize those dollars if they came back into our pocket. And then last but not least, already said it, what happens if the tax initiative fails? We've got the $441 per ADA cut. Weighted student formula doesn't move ahead, and and they're saying hold on to your reserves because without the taxes, it's likely that we'll face another round of cuts as we get into January 2013 to help address the state's structural deficit. So, last but not least, continue to have wide open communication, let all the various stakeholders know what's going on, difficulties, the potentials that we're facing. Keep talking about the solutions, fiscal stability plan and the like, what we'll do to address the issue if indeed the trigger reductions occur.
And the people who should have heard this presentation have all left. This is, how do you get it out to people?
They went.
Yeah.
Well, and Fran, I think that's a really good question. For one, it's helpful to have it, being publicized, and I think that it does go out in the community that way. I think that it would be appropriate to be able to address some of the local service groups, those type of things. Hopefully, we'll continue to keep the issue in front of media in general, so that the public is made aware, and I think there'll be a very large push as we head into the election from the powers that be to try to really highlight the positives that go along with the governor's proposal, or put differently perhaps, to really point out what the negatives would be if the trigger reductions are enforced. So we'll keep pushing at it and try to keep the word out there. So.
You're no fun. I want Katrina back. Nicely done, thank you.
So that is the end of our agenda, and we are adjourned at 9:48. And now the one. Sure.
Enjoy your guys' circle jerk.
So were you told you couldn't let your children play?
Yeah, gave me a ticket to boot. I don't know what. I've